this is Shubho here, CEO of Successante. Here we are on our 4th edition of Supply Chain Transformation. If you can hear me and can see me, please type in yes on your chat box. If you can hear me and see me, please type in yes on your chat box. Yeah, okay, great. So thank you very much for your feedback. So ladies and gentlemen, so supply chain transformation, this 4th edition, why are we doing this? Let me tell you the why. We are a provider of a certification program called Certification for Supply Chain Managers from ISCEA. They are the highest authority of supply chain certification in the world. They are the world's best. And when it comes to Successante, we always work with world's best. And this is our platform to demonstrate our supply chain students who has just completed their certification program. So we pick and choose one of them and then talk about in one of the aspects of supply chain. And today we have an amazing speaker who's going to talk on lean in supply chain, which is a very crucial area in supply chain. And he just finished his supply chain certification program. And of course, he has passed it with a flying color. And I'm very excited to have him this evening, from a very unique industry, very unique. So this company is, what they do is they manufacture umbrella, right? So being a Bangladeshi who settled in Sri Lanka for 16 years, when I first settled in Sri Lanka, I heard this brand name called Rainco. And I was intrigued that what do they do? And when I go on and find out about the company, and I was so impressed that the work they're doing in the in and around the product called umbrella. And umbrella can be so useful and so much interesting. I had no idea until I met the whole team. They have an amazing, awesome team, the Rainco team. So today now, before that, I would say Rainco is 40-year-old company, and they not only they are the market leader, not only in Sri Lanka. They comprise of almost 90% of the market share, and they export more than 10 countries all over the world. And coming 3 to 5 years, their main focus is to develop their supply chain. And today we have their Chief Operating Officer, COO himself, who's going to present to you on lean in supply chain and our supply chain transformation webinar. So ladies and gentlemen, this particular gentleman, I had the pleasure of meeting him a few months back. Brilliant gentleman, and he has been in supply chain industry in profession for last 15 years. So he has served in different areas of supply chain, and now he's a certified supply chain manager. And today he's going to talk about lean in supply chain. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge virtual round of applause. I'd like to invite Riaz Razi, the COO of Rainco Industries Private Limited. Riaz, over to you.
What is supply chain? Do you agree that if I tell you supply chain begins with customer and ends with customer? If you agree, please comment in the chat box. Few weeks back, we got an order from a UK buyer. We got the order, we made the good, and we sent it to customer. We got the money. Which means it first starts with customer, ends with customer. It makes sense, right? There are two types of major work done among these industries. One is generating demands. The second is fulfilling the demand. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to discuss about overall idea about supply chain and how lean is facilitated in supply chain. In the process of dealing with various stages in the supply chain team has to deal with various challenges. While they're dealing with them, there has to be some duplicate power among these stages. Supply chain experts define there are three key major flows has to be flow through within each stages. One is information flow. With information flow only, customer knows what to buy, where to buy. With the information only, supplier knows what to produce, when to produce. You can relate the same thing with my previous example, right? We got the information from customer and we delivered. The second flow is material flow. Material flow starting from supplier and ends up with customer. The third flow is funding flow. Funding flow starts from customer and flow through among the chain and up to reach supplier. If you take overall supply chain objective, if I tell you that maximizing supply chain surplus, how many of you will agree with me? If you agree, please comment in the chat box. Supply chain objective is to maximize profit. Did you get my point? If you agree, please add that into chat box. Whatever we do in the supply chain, there should be some reason. If you take my previous example, no matter what we did, it should be reflected in our P&L. If we did with a higher cost, it should be reflected. If we did with a lower cost, again it should be reflected, right? No matter it can be positive or negative, but it should be reflected. Your capability of supply chain determined by capability of handling uncertainty. What do you mean by uncertainty? If I tell you from my industry, if I take some example from Renco, so we are serving our customers within different 4 segments with different 4 channels. One is general trade. General trade, that's something always we can predict the market demand. So always we used to make stock and push the sales. The second is modern trade. Somewhat we can predict, but still there is uncertainty. The third is corporate channel. Still uncertainty is there. We bring the raw materials, but we'll wait till get the customer responses. But the fourth is private label. Private label completely customized. We can't respond to a customer. We can't respond to an order until we get an order from a customer. So if you take number one is we can predict. Your predictability is very high. Uncertainty level is very low, right? But when you take modern trade, still somewhat predictable, but there is uncertainty. If you take corporate, still somewhat uncertainty. But if you take private label, highly uncertain. You can't predict easily. So the challenge is to supply chain, how to balance this, how to take this right balance between efficiency and the responsiveness. Hope you can see this chart. When you increase your responsiveness, you had to compromise your efficiency. When you are going to increase your efficiency, you have to compromise your responsiveness. If you take law of diffusion of innovation, there are 4 stages of adaptability. One is early adopters, early majority, late majority, laggards. A product come to a certain level, between early majority and the late majority, there is uncertainty always there. Let me tell you some story, simple story. Few months before COVID, we had to work with a UK buyer. It was an interesting product called shoe deodorizer. So we got the order, but actually when we work with various suppliers, we had to work with one Spain suppliers from Europe. Unfortunately, we couldn't manage to get the goods on time because due to various reasons, supplier couldn't produce materials on time. So we fall into a dilemma. Either we are going to get these materials by air or by sea. If we get the shipment by sea, we may have to reduce our responsiveness. But if we get the shipment by air, again we may increase the responsiveness at the cost of efficiency. See the dilemma. So how supply chain is going to handle this dilemma. So what do you think? What the decision we might have taken? We decided to take the shipment by air. The reason is, once we get the shipment, we manage to fulfill the order within the given deadline. So by doing that, we manage to keep the customer with us till we are getting repeat orders. Now productions are something we can predict. Isn't it? It makes sense, right? When you increase your responsiveness, it will help you to keep your customer with you. But when you increase your efficiency, again it will help you to stay in the business. But the challenge is to supply chain, how to keep this right balance, how to get this right balance. That is challenge everywhere. So let's understand how we are going to take this right balance using lean essence. Before we go into lean, we should understand two streams in the supply chain. One is push, the second is pull. Push is always called, make to orders. Sorry, push is always called make to stock. Pull is always make to order. When you're going to respond to a customer, you are reacting, which is called pull. I was in previous my explanation. If I take for example from Rainco, our private label is pull stream. If you take push, you are anticipating a customer order, you are acting accordingly. So if we take Rainco's general trade, we are in the push stream. We anticipating customer order and we make the goods ready and push the sales. So if we can understand these clear boundaries, we are there to understand what is our inefficiency. Hope everyone can see this slide. Any goal of supply chain to maximize profit. There was a time when we want to keep a margin with the cost, we can add our margin and we can decide a price before globalization. But if you take now, you can't do that. Why? Because everything has globalized. Products or price already fixed in the market. Get the price minus your cost, margin is there. But every supply chain objective is to maximize profit. How you can do this? You can't do today's businesses with yesterday's method and be in the business tomorrow. You need to improve. You need to continually, you need to keep progress going, right? If you can understand what is your loss cost of the business, then only you can crack that and you can eliminate that. Without understanding that, you can't do that. When you, as I mentioned previously, when you're going to increase your responsiveness, your cost of efficiency, when you're going to increase your efficiency at the trade-off with responsiveness. So how are we going to take the right balance? That's where leans come handy. So let's see what is lean. If I tell you that lean means transform you fat to fit, how many of you will agree with me? If you agree, please comment in the chat box. Right, great. Lean means all about make you fat to fit. I mean, adding value addition by eliminating waste. When you take operation, there are two types of major operations are there. Whatever you take product or services, there are two types of operations. One is value adding activities. The second is non-value adding activities. You can break that non-value adding activities into two. One is real waste. The second is it's waste, but still you need to have it to operate your business. Isn't it? Lean makes lean make you flexibility. Lean gives you flexibility. It transforms you with an agility. Always give enough room for your improvement. It will make your plant, overall plant, with the right efficiency model. Lean comes up with a smart tool, which is called Tim Woods. Lean is always talks about 8 type of waste, which is called Tim Woods. Start from transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocess, defects and reworks, untapped human intellects. If we can really understand what are those wastes, if we can really see with a naked eye everywhere, wherever we move within our flow, you can realize that how much we are wasting our time, how much we are wasting our energy, how much we are wasting our resources. Hope you can see this pie chart. If you see this pie chart, what you can understand, this entire red portion is, if you take a typical organization, that's your waste part, I mean clear NVA, which should be eliminated, but you are not knowing you are keeping inside the flow. But end of the day, who is going to pay for it? Our consumer, because they also don't know, because we are intaking that much of waste in our resources that actually they don't want to pay, they don't willing to pay for it, but they don't have a choice, but they had to pay for it. If you take the purple part, still there is a waste, but you can eliminate, you can reduce, but still you need to keep it to run your business. If you take green part, that's the real value addition. That is the real touch point to convert a product, right? So basically, you should eliminate this red portion, then you should optimize this green one, then you should minimize this purple. We were doing this exercise a couple of years back. I mean, 6 years back, we were doing this exercise and we were shocked to see this result. We did micro mapping and we did the process mapping through micro level. And once we get the analysis from the team, we were shocked. We were in the industry more than 25 years previously, 25 to 30 years during this analysis. But we did know that how much of waste, how much of resources we are wasting in our services, in our departments. We were shocked and we come up with an idea to implement lean. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to discuss about, today we are going to discuss, we are going to understand how we manage to reduce this waste portion from our industry. Hope you can see this, right? So as I mentioned previously, there is a Tim Woods 8 waste is there. Then let's understand what is the critical drivers of supply chain. There are critical 6 drivers in supply chain, starting from facilities, inventories, transportation, information, sourcing, pricing. If we are going to manage these 6 drivers properly with understanding of this lean concept, we can eliminate this 8 waste, and if we can improve our process within each drivers, we are there to crack our main objective. Let's start from the transportation. So if you take transportation waste in facilities, so if you take a facility, there are 2 types of operation can be happen there. One is manufacturing plant, you can do the conversion. Then second thing, you can storage your product there, right? So when you do the manufacturing process, assume that you need to do the transportation point A to point B. Let's take an example. We want to get the goods from Colombo to Kandy, right? When the lorries come from Kandy, it's come with full load, isn't it? But when the lorry is returned from Kandy, it's going back with a half load or empty load. Still, we are incurred all the costs, right? Fixed drivers, porters, and the fuel cost and the lorry cost. Everything is there. but lorries come empty. Can we improve that waste? Think in that way. We did that in our facilities. So basically, in the facility, we identified what is core and what is non-core to our industry, our business. When it's come to core, we analyze how we are going to manage these core activities with optimum efficiency. So we did the process mapping, we did the work study, we did the inventory, we did the skill inventory. By doing that, we understood what are the type of skill each employees they have. Sometimes some employees they are at super skill level, some employees semi-skill, some employees with non-skill level. If you can understand how to bridge this skill balance, if you can balance this skill, if you can understand the gap between these both, and if you can come up with a plan to bridge the gap, skill gap, you are there to take the objective. We did that in our industry. So finally, we end up with overall plant efficiency. It almost close to world-class level. So that's how we manage the core activity within the facilities. The second, non-core activities. We identified that non-core activities, we are not experts to do the non-core activities. But there are enough people who can do outside with the aggregate planning, with the aggregate resources, with the aggregate spaces, with the aggregate information. There are enough people. We work with a couple of outside firms and we started to do some 3PM operation, which is called third-party manufacturing. In that way, we got the agility, we got the flexibility to our industry. With that agility and the flexibility, at a given time, if you want to increase your capacity with multiple time, we are there to increase without compromising our efficiency. If we want to reduce our capacity further and further, we are there to do that without compromising our efficiency. How we manage to do that? Identify these 8 words within the industry, and we manage to improve that. So finally, I touched in the facilities untapped human intellect, how we tackle this untapped human intellect. If I tell you that, if you have 100 employees, so 50 employees, 10 employees in your workflow, they are the one who expert more than you and me about the process, isn't it? When you ask them to come up with a suggestion to improve their processes, do you think will they come or not? They will come, right? Simple example, if I ask you to give me suggestion to improve this webinar for the next session, I think here we may have 10 to 20 participants. We take 20 participants, come up with 5 suggestions within 5 minutes, 100 ideas I'm getting to improve my webinar, my next webinar, right? So if I take out of 100, if I can implement 10 with the proper execution team, I'm there to improve my process. Yeah. So same way we did the process called idea pool. We used to get ideas from our employees once in every month. We build a team called idea screening and idea execution team. With the both cross-functional team, we managed to do a lot of transformation, process changes, and we managed to bring a lot of savings to the industry. See, we didn't forget to reward and recognize the employees as well. Always we are encouraging to bring the ideas. We are encouraging that. The second, if you take inventories, inventory is the major killer in an industry. If you take inventory is the second source of revenue for the organization, because when you keep a over inventory in a predicting certain demand, every stages in supply chain they want to keep some buffer stock to safeguard them, because that shows their comfort zone. They don't want to come up from their comfort zone. If you can really identify what are those comforts, and if you can eliminate those comforts, and if you can set a proper cycle inventory level with each stages, you are there to remove your inventories and you can easily track your main objective. We did that. We did that right information. I will relate that with an information driver. There was a time we couldn't get the enough visibility from our sales team to get the inventory level of the retailers. So we implemented a system called Salesforce automation. With that, we identified what is sell in, what is sell through. Sell in mean what you are selling to your customer. Sell through mean what is the real offtake from the retailer. So now we have an access to understand customer level of inventory. With that information, we are managing our inventories better than few years back. Then again, if you take transportation, the transportation, what we did was, as I mentioned earlier, the lorry is going full and comes and returns empty. Same time, we had a process. When we get the shipment from Colombo port, the lorries are comes with full truckload and going back with empty. What we did was we merged this both together. When we get the shipment from Colombo ports, what we did was we park our inventories at Colombo warehouse. When our lorry is going to Colombo with a full fleet, then once it's unloaded, we utilize that vehicle to get the materials to factory. In that way, we aggregate that. That way, we manage to bring that agility and we manage to improve efficiency. Same time, we did another transformation. With the transportation, we realized that even with our fleet system, there are more than 28 vehicles we had to ensure the retail market network chain. With 28 vehicles, 28 drivers, 28 porters, and 28 vehicles fixed cost, everything parked. There was a time. But we realized that it's a waste because once in every month only we started to filling those vehicles, but once in every month, entire month actually that vehicle is using without proper load, no utilization. That kills your efficiency. What we decided was we work with a couple of firms who can do this with an aggregator manner, with a proper WMS, with a proper fleet system. We found there are enough firms who can do this transportation service better than us. We engage with them, we completely transform that fleet system into a 3PL model. Right now, we have an agility to improve our services. If you want to increase your fleet system with multiple time, within a single email, you can do that. If you want to reduce your fleet system during an off season, still you can do that. That type of agility we got that with that lean management. When you understand the real insight of these 8 waste, then you will realize you are there. Then finally, information I already covered. When you take sourcing, sourcing also a more important key part in supply chain. When you work with your supplier, like your partners, without deprival mindset with your supplier, you are there to crack your supply chain objective. When you coordinate, when you explain, when you do all the planning part, when you're planning your strategy with your suppliers, they will transparent with you. It's like a reciprocal mindset, right? When you give something, you take back something. If you can really want to develop your suppliers, plan your activities with them. When you do that, definitely they will work behalf of you. Suppliers, they are the one who bring the money from their pocket to invest for your business, right? Actually, we did that exercise with suppliers. Right now, our most of the inventories are parked at supplier warehouses without paying a single cent. That agility we bring, how we manage to do that, understanding of this 8 type of waste. Then pricing, we did the pricing in the segment level. So, when you do a segment level, you should understand what is your segment. You focus on the key segment or premium segment. You should, because pricing is the key source of revenue for the supply chain. You should understand how you are going to do the pricing. So when I tell this couple of practical example, theoretical parts and everything. What we understand is the really, if we take the supply chain, there are typical 5-6 stages, right? Supply chain has to be integrated with this among the all the chain. Within the firm, there are 3 type of team, right? SRM, supply relationship management, ISCM, internal supply chain management, CRM, customer relationship management. Within this each firms, within these macro firms, right? Within this each firm system, then again within this each stages, you have to be more corporate and more work more integrated manner. When you're going to do that, you are there to crack your supply chain objective. The strength of the chain is determined by the strength of the weakest link of the chain. I mean, no matter how much strength you have in the other links, but your strength is limited to the weakest link, right? When you are going to make that weakest link strength enough, you are there to tackle your main objective. Let me end up the session with a piece of information. You know, today competitions are shifting from company versus company to supply chain versus supply chain. Those who are going to manage their supply chain with the right balance of efficiency and the responsiveness, they are the one who are going to lead the competition. Thank you all for listening my presentation. Thank you, Suo. It's over to you.
Great. Thank you, Riaz. Thank you so much. I thought that was very informative and very useful. And I love the fact that you finished the session by saying that the competition is going to be between supply chains, right? So different companies. I mean, that makes so sense. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you love that presentation, if you learned something, type in yes on your chat box with that presentation. Riaz, come over here. Come. So it doesn't end here. So we have a Q&A session, and after Q&A, we have a surprise guest with us today. Who's going to speak. So before I go to the surprise guest, so if you have any question, please go ahead and ask on the chat box. Okay. So, okay, Riaz, there's a question from Imam. So Imam is from my batch.
Fine.
Okay.
Great.
So he's from Bangladesh. He's logged in from Bangladesh. So he's asking, could you relate lean and overall supply chain strategies with just in time?
Yeah. When it's come to lanes, most of the time lanes most compatible with full stream, right? When you want to implement just in time, you need to have enough supporting industry within related to your industry. If you take umbrella industry, for an example, I'm taking umbrella industry, and if you take Toyota, so Toyota has built enough supporting industry between around the industry. So if you can do that, you are there to reach just in time. But still, we also managing, with the local supplies, we are managing our inventory. Usually, we are managing our inventory parked at supplies warehouse. But if you can do that with the right information, if you practice Kanban, definitely you are there to implement just in time to lean.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. You were mentioning, Riaz, that in Rainco you implemented lean practice, right?
Yeah.
So when you were implementing, how did you manage the change, the mindset change in the team? Yeah.
So usually, when you do the transformation, you are getting enough pressure from all around the corner. But you should create a different level of sense of urgency. If you can create that sense of urgency, if everyone can realize the importance of this sense of urgency, they are there to support you. Because lean always starts from top down. But you need to create a strategy to bring that from the bottom up also. When you can do that, you are there to manage that transformation.
But was that easy? Was that easy to implement?
It's not easy. Okay. It takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long it took to implement lean?
For us, for us to reach a certain level, because when we realize that the waste analysis, I think that analysis we complete within 3-4 months. But for us to come out from that, the red part, actually it took more than 3 years for us.
Right. My God, that was mind blowing.
But actually, you can't completely eliminate those red, right?
Okay.
You can. From that point, you can at least 50% we can reduce.
Okay.
If we reduce that 50%, you can bring that agility.
My God, 50% is a lot, right?
Lots.
That has an impact directly to the margin and then
margin and the consumer as well. And the consumer as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Great. Brilliant. So we have the next question. Okay. Imam. Okay. How is success measured in lean? What are the KPIs?
Your lead time and your cost. Whatever you do in the lean, it should reflect in your P&L. If you can see your P&L is improving, then you can realize that the improvement.
Brilliant. So what gets measured, it gets done. So basically, that's very practical way of looking at it. So,
yeah.
So you can see the numbers, and then if it increases, then it becomes better. So that means the lean is working. Great. So any other question, ladies and gentlemen? I see some good comments here. Sati is with us. Sati from Nestle, supply chain head. He was also listening to us as well. So great. Any other question? Thank you very much, Ian, for your feedback. Okay, next question from Azim Omer. What is the connectivity lean has with perfection? Perfection, right? Yes.
Yeah, the connectivity mean with the lean, when you realize your value addition within your process, you can always relate that with your P&L, right? Let's say if you analyze everything with your 8 waste, you take and you are going to give more value addition to your final product. When you give more value addition to your final product, it will reflect in the consumer surplus. Consumer surplus means consumer price minus consumer value minus product price. If you consumer can enjoy the experiencing with the product, there's perfection, right? When whatever you do in the process development, if you can see consumer surplus there, supply chain surplus there, there's a perfection.
Wow, brilliant. I love the clarity you bring in, Riaz. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So, he said, great, thank you. Okay, you just finished. So I have to ask this question, right? So you just finished your CSCM certification program. How was it for you? I know you have 15 years of experience.
Yeah.
But why do you think it was useful for you?
Yeah, actually, it's great because practical. I think it's lectures. Session heads. They came with the different industries, right? Actually, I feel it shaped me good. Everything given in the right structure. Because previously we studied supply chain with different during my graduation, during my MBA, studied supply chain, but with different structure. Some pieces there, some pieces here. But this bring everything to a perfect structure.
So did that help you to get
definitely? It's shaping me good.
Okay, great. I like the way you say shaping you good. Okay, great. So if you have any question, ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and ask. And so this is your opportunity to learn from the lead master over here, Riaz. Okay, what are the main supply chain challenges companies face experience? Yeah.
Again, that's responsiveness and the efficiency. You need to trade off one. So when you're going to do the trade-off, you need to bring the right balance. Because that is the challenge.
So there has to be a balance. Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Ashan, for that question. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Please go ahead. And so did you enjoy the CSCM? Did you get to, it was online, right?
Yeah.
So how was it, like overall?
Overall it's good because I feel that the online session is better than physical session now.
Okay.
Because we get enough time,
Right.
Even if you couldn't cover up the session live, but we can get the recording always, and we can cover up the session.
Right.
Great.
Got it. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question, please go ahead and ask. Otherwise, we will move on to listen from our surprise guest. So please go ahead and ask. Okay, Jihan has asked one more question. Is information driver the main factor for lean process? That's a very good question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without information, you can't proceed, because when you do this analysis, the information is key for you to arrive for a decision.
Okay, great. So there is a question here. I can see Mohammed Mubarak. He has asked, most of the organizations started the lean practices, but unfortunately they stopped halfway their journey. What is your advice for them or their improvement?
So for that, actually, yeah, there are enough examples in the industry. For that, you need to have a right team with a right attitude. No matter what kind of skill they have, but you need to have a right kind of people with the right attitude. If you can bring the team with that, with the cross-functional, and if you let them do the cross-fertilize within the teams, then you are there to bring that change.
Okay, great. Thank you. I love the way you're giving the answers here. So
Thank you.
Very to the point. Very nice. Okay. Shiful Islam. Okay, so he's asking what is the main strategy to supply chain management?
So it's depend on the nature of industry, right? For me, it's a different strategy. But if you take my industry, it's a different strategy. But if you take apparel industry, it's a different strategy. The supply chain strategy define on what stream you are fall into. So it start with designing process, planning, and operation. You can define this each stages when you understand your stream. Are you in a pull stream or in a push stream?
Got it. Brilliant. Great. So if you have any other question, please go ahead and ask. Okay. Going once. Okay. Oh, one more. Okay. What is the main strategy? Okay. So he said, great. Thanks. Okay, Saiful. Thank you so much. Okay, great. So going once, going twice, going thrice. Thank you so much. Okay. Azim. Okay, Azim is asking a question. Why lean fails in many organizations? It's a very good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question, Azim. I think that's execution capability. If you have a right team, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a right team to do the execution, you can easily implement that. If you don't have a right, because when you're going to implement from the top level without coming, if without getting the bottom up approach, if you are not going to create that sense of urgency, you can't do that. So this is not you can't do this with a command, but you can do with a team. You need to have a right team to do this.
So what you're saying, it's a culture.
Yeah,
right?
It's a culture.
So you have to build a culture. So you have to practice that in and out, so that and with the right attitude, it is possible to implement.
Definitely.
Right. And it has to come from top. Right, top to bottom. So they have to practice it.
Both ways, yeah.
Right. And it's a supply chain.
Top management has to create that sense of urgency, get the bottom up approach also.
Right.
When you create that sense of urgency, you can easily build the team.
Right. So can I say supply chain is more focused on building a culture of organization rather than only just departmental function?
Yeah, true. Mostly focus on cultural function.
Culture. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, great. Thank you, Azim, for your feedback. Brilliant. So I guess we will move on. Any last minute things you want to say to the audience?
Yeah, I think I covered up everything. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation patiently.
Right.
And thank you, Shua, for the opportunity.
No problem.
Great evening.
No problem. Brilliant. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. Please give a round of applause, a virtual round of applause to Riaz over here. Thank you, Riaz. You did brilliant. Thank you so much. Brilliant. So next up, as I told you, I promised you there is a surprise guest over here with us. So I have a very good friend of mine who's there. Okay. Can I invite the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer himself of Rainco? And I love this gentleman. I love the way he talks and he presents things. he has a very good open heart. And then he's the one who's in for just not implementing supply chain to build the culture of his organization. A man with a big heart and a lot of full of action, I would say. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ahmed Arous. Arous, over to you, my friend. Please share something with us. Tell us how was your experience? How was Riaz's presentation? So let's listen from you. Arous, over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I think it was a brilliant presentation. Riaz, congratulations. You've done a great job in really, giving out a lot of information and more importantly, a lot of knowledge about this domain of supply chain. So thank you very much for that. And sure, I feel like a lost camel in the desert. You know why I'm saying that? So much of supply chain information and supply chain expertise sitting in this forum, and I'm really feeling nervous as to why you invited me to be the special guest, but nevertheless, now that you invited and I unmuted myself and put myself on the spotlight, I need to say something, right? So I'll hope that I make my few minutes meaningful. Now, I'm a very happy man today. You know why, Shuo?
Okay.
I'm probably, I could very well claim that I'm the world's happiest man right now.
Okay.
Multiple reasons. Number one, we've turned the team. I think many of those team members are sitting in this forum. As a Rainco team, we turned out the most adverse, the most challenging, the most disruptive year to become the best year for us in the history.
Wow, awesome, nice.
Right. So the year that the whole world was challenged, the year that the whole world was disrupted, the year that the whole world went through turmoil became the best year for Rainco in the history. Okay.
Nice.
Now, why am I starting off with this very, very positive, excited note? That is to say how important the role of supply chain played in this great turnaround of a year for us. And the great inspiring personalities who, just like Riaz, who just spoke a few minutes ago, and every single element he put down on that slide was executed real life in our organization to see an every single cent or rupee of saving pulling back into the business. And that's why that's a power of brilliance, sheer brilliance in terms of execution that was demonstrated to turn around a business. The most adverse conditions are turned around, become the best opportunities for Rainco family. Right. So this is the importance of how much supply chain played up in the whole game for us as an organization, for us to win. And I'll tell you, amidst all these challenges, amidst all the disruptions we as a country had and the world had, our factories were closed only for 2 days. Only for 2 days.
Okay.
Because the team behind the factory, the team behind supply chain ensured that every single component that needed to keep our production on is intact.
Wow.
Right. And that's the kind of, so that's the brilliance that they've really demonstrated and brought about to convert any challenge into a gold mine of opportunities. Right? In the most challenging circumstances, in the most worsening conditions, that they were able to deliver sheer performance purely through executing what Riaz just explained on that set of slides right now. Right? So, and that's the power of a greatly executed and greatly planned supply chain excellence. Now, I don't have to go on talking about how important a supply chain role is for an organization to survive. I mean, forget about succeeding. I mean, succeeding is something comes in later part of the equation. But to survive, taking into an account, referring to a year that is the whole global market dynamics shifted, and such a challenging year, to survive a supply chain is something that really can and should fire within the whole organization. Right. When there was stock outs across the country, when there were factories that not able to produce, when we had challenges in getting down raw materials, we did not compromise of how many units we did send out to serve the market. And that's how important the role is. Now, all of this was done with a lot of commitment, a lot of understanding, and a lot of knowledge in terms of how these strategies were implemented. So once again, I'm congratulating Riaz and the supply chain team, my supply chain colleagues here who are sitting in this forum, Najib, Azim, Rashid, Ryan, I can go on talking about them. All of them have not just learned what supply chain excellence is in your course, and I think they very well deserve to call themselves as global certified supply chain experts in this forum, because they've not only learned, they've demonstrated themselves to be the brilliant in the wolf pack. So I think that's absolutely why they deserve to be here. So to the rest of the colleagues who is part of this forum, I'm telling you, you need to feel really great, and you need to be really proud about the role that you're doing amidst all those changes that have shifted the dynamics of corporates. The most changed, the most intensely challenged scope in corporate world is supply chain. And that is the reason why you should equip yourself more and more in order to take these challenges head on and deliver value to the strategic direction of organizations. The boards are sitting and wondering, what do we do next in order to have our uninterrupted supply? And you guys, being supply chain professionals, need to step up to the game and say, don't worry, we will take care of your supply chain and we will deliver what the organization needs. And that's the kind of impact I want each one of you to create in your organizations. And the closing remarks is that, I am very proud of my team, my supply chain experts, and I'm sure each one of you can go ahead and make your organizational managers, their CEOs proud about holding you dearly to your team. So on that note, Shuo, thanks a lot for Success Zante, ISCEA Asia for doing this exceptional job of training and grooming the supply chain professionals in this country. It's a need of the hour. It's going to be the need for the future. And for many organizations like my organization, not just to survive, but to succeed in great opportunities. Thank you very much, and all the very best, and congratulations to the graduates of ICSC.
Thank you, Arus. You're making me emotional, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you mentioned, and I know I could feel it. It's from your heart what you have shared. Thank you so much. Really appreciate, and I know you are transforming your organization, and this is one of the first steps that what you have taken. And this was only possible because as a leader, you took a decision that no, we're going to transform our organization with a amazing team. And hats off to you for your leadership, that what made it happen. You can implement supply chain in the organization, but if nobody take advantage of it, no point of it. At the end of the day, you can have the best supply chain processes, but at the end of the day, human being are the one who's going to take care of it. It's very important, that mindset shift, and it comes from the leader, and you have it in you, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
I know that for a fact. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And okay, so Sati, I can see Sati say, congratulations, Rainco team, inspiring message for supply chain professionals. So Arush Satindra is the vice president of Nestle. He's the supply chain head there. So he took CSCM in December. So me, him, we together, we have gone through the process as well. So he is congratulating Rainco team. Wow, this is a big moment for us for Success that day as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, Aros, for your presence. Thank you, Riaz, for making this evening happen. So look out for our 5th edition of Transformation in Supply Chain. End of April, we will publicize the date very soon. But what I want to mention is that it's just the beginning, and there are so many areas we're able to work together and help and impact a lot of people in not only in Sri Lanka and out of Sri Lanka as well, right? So when we decide to, when we make a decision of doing something, because you never know when the transformation starts, right? So I just want to finish my presentation or my conversation with you is that when you decide, right, a moment of decision can change your destiny. With that message, this is Shubho signing off. I'm really looking forward to see all of you on our next webinar in supply chain transformation. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome new year ahead. So, Shubha Alutu Aluta. Thank you. Roma Studi. Thank you.
The most profitable companies in the world have learned to use their supply